Live right now. What? Where is? So I'm live. Okay, there's the live stream. So we're testing this out tonight. So if you're here to join, let me find out how to add that. YouTube. There we are. Test this out. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Okay. So if you're wanting to join in right now, we are going to be testing this live. I'm going to start doing these lives in the StreamYard. I've been joining in a few others out there, and it's quite a better way to be interactive with you all. So I want to invite you to come in online if you wish. Do a video like a video conference, but like a video panel, and discuss photography, cameras, whatever. I'm going to try and figure out how to give that post or the link. Let's see, this is my first time in here, so there we go. Copied. Let me see if I can put this on the chat. See if that works. So there's that. So now if you want to join in on the panel, you're welcome to join in on the video. And bear with me. I've got to figure out how to get you in if you'd like to come in. Like I said, this is just a test for me tonight. I'd be more than happy to sit down and chat for a little while. Got some time. And let's see here. So what is the newest on the rumor polls? A very busy week this week, so I haven't been too active online. I've been trying to get a video out, which should be out if I can get it uploaded. It should be launching tomorrow at some time. I'm hoping it'll be by 8, but that's a new video coming out here soon, and I've still got to upload it. And it's a longer 20-minute video, so it's going to take some time to get out there. Let's see what we got going on. I think the latest rumors I saw were about let's say 7R5 is camera of the year from Japan. I have a Sigma 23.14 APS-C lens coming out. That'd be kind of a cool lens. I want to see what about the ZV-1 if there was one. So exclusive insights from former Sony manager A6000 and A7R2 were key to the Sony success. That was a YouTube video. I believe that. I mean, the A6000 was really a stepping what do you call it? Not a stepping stone. I think all the other cameras were up to stepping stones up to the A6000 and the A7R2. The A7R2, which I have mine sitting right here, they were very instrumental, I would say, in the development of how well Sony did kicking things off. I own both of them. I still own my A7R2. The A6000, the A6000 is still one of the best cameras bang for the buck probably there is. It still gives you a lot of ability, even though it is a little bit dated now with as far as technology goes. It is instrumental, I think. The having owned it and how fast the autofocus was and how easily it operated and took pictures, and then having the A7R2 as secondary to it in a sense for like the speed, but the image quality of the A7R2 was way better than the 6000 series. But but both cameras together just worked hand in hand. It was an awesome kit, and I miss having my little APS-C camera at times because they're very convenient to carry around and have. So definitely wouldn't mind having something else like it again. And that's one of those things that just works really well. I wanted to find out if they're talking about the 6700 at all or the ZV-1. Those parts I don't know about. If you want to join in on the panel and have a little video discussion, you're more than welcome to. I put the link in the chat panel. And if you follow that link, like I said, this is the first time testing this out. Wasn't really planning on going live tonight, but I figured, well, I'll play with this StreamYard and see how it works. And if you follow that link, it should take you into a thing, and I should see somebody pop up here, I imagine. I can activate it. But I'm just kind of messing around with this tonight, just trying to see how it works, what works with it. There's a way to... I don't think I can do... Yeah, I don't think I can do it on this free version of it. That's just there's sound effects and whatnot around it. But yeah, you're welcome to join in if you want. Like I said, I wasn't really planning on hopping in here going live. I didn't have no real thing to talk about. Okay, here we go. That's why I'm looking for the ZV-1 Mark II will feature a newly designed 18 to 70 millimeter lens. So that is going to be a huge improvement to the ZV camera, which I have mine over here. A wider lens on this thing would be huge as far as ability to use it as a vlogging camera. I think it would be much needed, which gives it a comparable 24 to 70. It'll have a bunch of AI features. It'll be expensive with a price close to $1,000. If they up the body quality, to me that would be worth it. If they up the body quality, I could see this, because this was already $700 when it was new. And it's still a great, awesome camera with the flip screen. It does the full rotate. Everything about this little camera I really do like. And I don't have really any other major complaints of it, other than if you're on the quarter 20 to mount it to something, you got to take it off to get to your memory card or your battery. And since the batteries like to die in this thing all the time, that's the one really big annoying thing with this little camera. The ZV-1, I don't think, or Mark II version of it, if they offer it with a W series battery, if they make the grip big enough to hold a W series battery, this would be an awesome camera. Wider lens, it'd be worth $1,000, I think. Absolutely. And I think they just replaced the Mark, or was it not the Mark, the RX 100 series with the ZV line at that point. I would think that would be a smart move. Or if they still do it, at least offer this ZV-1 in the body of the RXs, because they were way much more robust bodies in their feel. And I wouldn't care about this being lightweight, or it's already small and lightweight. So let's do that. Let's see what that would be like. So let's see if I can share. What happens when I hit present? I can do extra camera, a video file. I can share my screen, or I can share slides. No slides. I have video quality onto YouTube's not too bad with this StreamYard. I mean, looks pretty decent to me on the panel here. let me go in and change my display. So do 2. If I had to guess, see how this layout is unique. Okay, so I can't change it till somebody's in the room with me. So if you want to join in the room, hit the link in the comments tab, and well, I can see, hopefully figure out how that all works. But so far it looks pretty good. If you have any questions for me, if you've been following me, hit me up in the comments. Let me know. I can answer questions. And so right now I'm just kind of just trying out this live stream system. I'm not using the YouTube one. I'm using a different one that allows me to have people on live with me. So it's a kind of a cool aspect of it. I've been joining in a few other photographers live panels, and it's a very interesting way to interact. It's a new way, and I'm wanting to get in on it. So if anybody is welcome to join in if you want. We can chat cameras, photography, whatever. I'm just playing around in the system right now. That's all I'm doing. Like I said, this is a test for me tonight to see how it works. If you want to join in, hit the link. So if you have any questions for me, hit me up in the comments. I can see that. Hello, how you doing? Trixie Gaming, how you doing? Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for chatting. Appreciate that. What do you shoot? I kind of just been going over the rumor mills tonight. Like I said, testing this out more than anything, but so yeah, you guys are welcome to join in on the live panel. If you want to go live on YouTube with me, hit that link in the comments below. A6400, yeah, that's a good camera. I miss mine. I almost wish I still had a small APS-C camera again. Earlier on, I was discussing having the A6000, and the A6000 for me was an awesome little camera. And then I sold it to buy the A6400. And the only reason why I sold the 6400 was I did a video review between it and the A7 III, and I liked the A7 III's performance, so I sold it to buy the A7 III. And then I sold my A7 III and a couple lenses to pick up the FX30, which we're currently live streaming on. And the FX30 has been an amazing camera, but I don't have a purpose for it to use it for photography. It's my video camera. So I've been wanting to pick up another APS-C camera, and I thought about just picking up another 6400 because I really did like that camera. Then again, I might go back to a 6600 because it's got the new battery. And then we got the rumor mill showing maybe a 6700 on the line. So I think I'm just going to wait and see what that 6700 is. If the 6700 shows up, that might be a new APS-C camera for me, because I don't know what to do with this one. I mean, I haven't ever wanted to take it out for photos. It doesn't have an actual mechanical shutter in it, which is probably a technology that's going away. I don't think our new cameras are going to have that mechanical shutter forever. And I still like it. Yeah, the 6400 was very versatile. It worked. It worked extremely well for me and everything I did with it. I actually prefer, surprisingly, after using these screens on this one, even though it's on the side, I actually prefer having the flip up screen on the 6400 in that format, because it just made a little bit more sense the way it's still tilted out in the back. And I use that still. And in this, you can't do that when you're folded around behind. You're stuck in that flat profile. So I've been kind of torn on whether or not I actually like this. Now, I really do enjoy it on the FX30 because the screen it's there, it's out, it's not a problem. But when I was shooting with the FX30 at a live concert event, it was just out in the way more on the gimbal. And it just seems like when you wanted to go freehand it and you wanted to tilt the screen, it's there in the way. And you got your ports, your microphone ports all right there. So I don't know if this is the real answer to that. I think I'd like to see them go to something like the 6400, or of course the R5, being the Sony A7 R5, because it's got the best of both worlds in it. That would be a cool feature to see on the 6700. But I like the versatility of the 6400 screen for photography, because I think it is the best of both worlds. You get the tilt function, and then you can go forward to see yourself. And yes, it's blocked by the viewfinder. It's blocked by the microphone hot shoe if you're using it. I put it in a cage, so that didn't bother me. I moved my microphone when I was using it that way. And I feel like it's just a better answer than some of this. Yeah, I love the little tilt. Yeah, it's annoying on this. Like I said, I have this in my hand, not the FX30, but you can't just tilt the screen. You've got to have it out to do it. Now, it's great that it's you can tilt it out to the side. There's a lot of versatility with the swivel screen, but I think if I had a photography first camera and I wanted it to have the front facing, I would recommend it. I'd want the top flip. I think that's a better option. And there's options around the microphone shoe or the hot shoe and the microphone mounts. There's options around that, and it's a good solution. Now, the R5 screen, I'd like to see that on the 6700. That's one of my wish lists, is on the 6700 to see that A7 R5 screen. Any favorite lenses for the 6400? If you have the kit lens, I really did enjoy the 18-135 kit lens. I actually made a video about it, and I will say that lens by far was probably my favorite lens to carry around all the time, because it had the versatility of the long range and the being 18 millimeter wide. At the time, it was my only APS-C lens I own, and currently all I have are full frame lenses. So it was very similar to my 24-105 f4 lens that I run on this one. This is the 85 right now. I got the 85 GM on here, but the 24-105 is basically that lens in a sense, but it was equivalent of like being a 28-200 or something. It's something around those ranges. So a very, very versatile lens. If I were to buy another APS-C lens for the 6400 right now, I really do like that G 2.8. I think it's the 18 or 16 to 55 millimeter. That is a big lens. It's a pricey lens, but I think that would be my choice for a new lens on those APS-C cameras. I've always wanted Sony to make a little mini G Master line for the APS-C cameras and give us, really high quality glass for the APS-C lenses. I think they started doing that with that G line, but the original 18-105 with the power zoom was a G lens, but I used it. It can be sharp in the right circumstances, and it can be a great lens. And I've often thought about getting one of those for the FX30 being power zoom, but it's a dated lens as far as autofocus, I think, goes, and I haven't seen any updates to it. So I've always used full frame lenses on all my APS-C lenses. So currently we're on the 24 G Master on the FX30. I've got the 85 G Master. I have my 24-105 G lens, which are my three lenses I own right now. That's all I've got. Now I've got a bunch of vintage lenses and a bunch of other stuff I've used, but I've used every one of them on my APS-C cameras when I had them. Like I said, right now we're using a 24 G Master full frame lens on the FX30, which is APS-C for the stream, and there's no difference in viewability on the lens. If you buy a 24 millimeter APS-C lens, you get the same exact look, like what you're seeing here on my screen would be the exact same if you bought a 24 millimeter APS-C lens. Now, the benefit to it being a lot of the sharpest areas of the lens is in the center. So, of course, we're filming on a G Master lens right now, so that's an incredibly sharp lens to begin with. But the edges of most lenses on the outside out here is where you get softer images. So if you're running a full frame lens, especially a high quality like a G Master or a G lens, you're now deleting that from the viewable area and you're cropping in that 1.5 to the center of it, and you're getting a much sharper image overall, the entire sensor. So I think the full frames are great options to use on APS-C. And then if you do end up buying a full frame camera, you've got the lens to go with it. One of my favorite full frame lenses to run on the APS-C was my 100 or 400 G Master, which I ended up selling or trading, however you want to look at it, to move gear around. But I still have ability to use that lens when I need it. But the on my A6000 was one of my favorite lenses on that camera, because it gave you a 150 to 600 millimeter range. And I love doing, taking that to the zoo or doing any kind of real wildlife photos with it, because you had such an incredible range, and the detail and the sharpness was just unreal. In fact, even just hand holding the A6000 out in my backyard at night, shooting the moon, or even I've even shot Orion's Nebula. I can get Jupiter's and the Jupiter and its moons with that combination, like just hand holding it in my backyard. It's a lot of fun using that lens for that on that camera. And you get a lot more range. Now, I've always wanted to buy like the 200 to 600 and have a 300 to 900. I think that would be a lot of fun on an APS-C camera too, to have that kind of massive range optically would be a lot of fun. So I definitely think full frames are worth using on an APS-C. So the downside is the size. You have this awesome little small camera you can tuck in your bag, but then you've got these massive lenses, I mean, here's a ZV-1 and the 85 G Master. So the lens itself is as tall as, most slots in the bag. And of course, you got the hood out on it. But, you got to carry this around, which is heavier and bigger than most APS-C cameras. But it works perfectly well on an APS-C camera. You will have no issues. And, the 24, another thing I do like about if you're shooting primes is the 24 G Master, the 35 G Master are almost identical in size. And when they made that new 51.4 G Master, it's almost the exact same size as these two lenses. And they're very compact and nice on an APS-C body. And I shot a quinceanera with the A6400 with the 24 G Master in a low light, environment through the night, and the footage looked unreal. It looked so good having that G Master lens with that 1.4 aperture wide open and shooting 1/50th of a second, 24 4K. I was blown away how good it actually looked. And I just did I was out filming a concert, which I was in. I got a lot of the footage in the video. I'm hopefully, if I can get it uploaded tonight. I didn't want to upload while I was streaming, but if I get it uploaded in time tonight, it will release tomorrow at some point. I'm hoping by 8 a.m. But if it's not out by then, there's footage in that with the 85 on the A7R2, and then I don't think I have any of my footage in it, because the video is more about that camera and that lens. But I shot the whole evening on basically the 24 G Master and the FX30 on the gimbal, and the footage looks incredible. I'm blown away with how good this FX30 is, and how even at low light situations running a base ISO 2500, it's clean. It's very clean footage, and having a fast lens aperture matters big time to help with that. If I was trying to use that on the kit lens or like a 4.5 or something like that, I don't think it'd be nearly as nice looking, because I can keep that ISO at 2500, and it's like perfect for low light with a f1.4 lens. So if anybody wants to join in on a live panel, you can do it off your phone, even just to say hi or join in live. It's a cool concept, and it's been I haven't done any lives in a couple of weeks, because I've been joining these other live streams just to kind of see who else is out there and what they're doing with it. And my time's somewhat limited as far as be able to make videos and and do live sessions. And I'm going to be moving my live session to, I think, Monday nights now. My Monday night live will be probably at 9 p.m. Central still. So it's 7 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific will be when my live stream goes, will be my normal schedule. And I think that'll work better for me, the family, and be able to be more consistent with it. And then it will be done through this thing called StreamYard. Right now I'm on the free version of StreamYard. So it's allowing me to um, have this panel, and I can, like I said, I can just show your last comment here. It's bigger. Yeah, we were talking about the 85. So I can go through and click and show the comments. It's kind of a cool option on there. So, but yeah, if you anybody wants to join in on the panel, I will be doing the panels live on Monday. All right, so 18 went through with my first lens. Now I have a Sony Sigma 5614 lens in my first prime. How do you like that Sigma? Because I've been tempted for the price and the lenses they're offering in the 1.4. I've been very tempted, and especially that a lot of them are APS-C lenses. I've also been wanting to get the Sure anamorphics. I'd like to get, because I'm shooting the APS-C on the FX30. I can potentially afford some of those smaller Sure lenses. A buddy of mine who has a Sony kit. Also, he's got that, what's it, the 2470 Sigma, the 2.8. It's an impressive lens. The pictures quality and the stuff he's getting. He's shooting an R4, of course, too, which just doesn't need much help. But the lens on that camera is impressive as far as how well that combination works. He says no autofocus problems, and the image quality is top notch. I love it because it's very sharp and small and compact. Yeah, compact for me nowadays is a much bigger deal than anything else. I don't like carrying a bunch of stuff with me anymore. Like when I first started into photography in the hobby, I would sit there and want to have all my gear in the bag, and I started walking around with it, and your bag's weighing up 40 pounds with some heavy glass in it. And I've gotten to a point where I just want to, less is more for me, and I want to carry less. So when I was at the concert a couple weeks ago, and I got hired to do this shoot for the concert, and it was a charity event, but um, it was a fairly large event, about 4,000 people present, and had was a Pecos and the Rooftops was the showrunner band playing, but we had about 6 bands playing. So I had all access, was able to get up around them and move around and film and go wherever I wanted to do that. That was a lot of fun to be able to get up on stage behind some of the musicians and get photographs. And I was shooting, the A7R2 with the 85 on that. But my main purpose being there, and it was for being the videographer, and I was shooting the FX30 on the gimbal with the 24G Master. So I would when that one eventually died, or later in the evening when I was done, I had plenty recorded. I actually took this thing out of the bag because I did carry it as a backup, because it is my only other second camera other than the ZV, which I had with me also. But I had this with the 85 and just started shooting photos, and I was blown away how good some of the images actually looked out of the A7R2, because even at high ISOs, it's pretty impressive. And that's kind of what the video is going into when I the video that's coming out tomorrow is going to be about. I'm just getting into photography and videos. For me, it does a great job for what I need. The 6400 is a great all-around camera. I mean, it'll do both perfectly well. I didn't get to use my 6400 much for photography, because I started this channel with it, and I mean, owning that camera kind of like kicked off this channel for me originally. And the first video I put up on here was like a purpose shot, like we're going to go out and film this adventure. And now the edit, I wasn't too happy with. I could probably go back and re-edit that video because I wasn't personalized in the video much. It was just a, kind of a still grab video and showing some video we shot with it. But it was a fun time, and it got me into it. You switched over. That's nice. What are you referring to in that? Were you what did I say, and where did that come up? You switched over from the FX30 to the A7R2 when I was working. If that's what you're talking about, yeah, it works. And you guys are here and you're sticking around. Hit that like button for me. It helps out a lot. You switched over this nice. You said you switched cameras. Yes. Yeah, I like moving around and even like there's by far there's no comparison from the FX30 video footage to the A7R2's video footage. The 10-bit, the high dynamic range of the FX30, everything kills it. But this thing still holds its own pretty amazing. When I shot some video clips with it, it's even without any picture profiles or any serious grading or it was definitely impressive. Some of the footage I got out of it. What is your go-to camera? My boy. Right now, for photography, it's the A7R2. I mean, it's my only really still camera I have. I've have the FX30. It's in a rig mount. I usually have the top handle attached to it. It just sits in the studio here, kind of, unless I'm actually out doing work with it or trying to do a video outside the studio. That's the only time I really take it with me. If I just go out for the day, I grab my A7R2. It's incredible good value for the camera. It definitely is weak in the autofocus, especially if you're looking at 6400 autofocus. That's a mini A9 compared to what this thing is. And even the A7 III had much, much better autofocus than the A7R2 does. I would say if I going back in my kits, if I had an A6000 and my A7R2 in the kit bag, if I needed speed, I picked the APS-C with the 6000. The 6000 was just 10 times faster in autofocus and ability than the A7R2 is. If you're going for top image quality and you have time for it to focus and you have time to set up your shot, the A7R2 all day long. It's phenomenal, the image quality. Even, I mean, the A7R2 files, the raw files of this camera are an uncompressed or like 85 megabytes of a picture, and this 6400 was 25, I think, in a raw file. So a lot more data in the image, and the pixel density in here is still make sure I say this right. There's a pixel density in the sensors between the A6000 series and the 6400 being the same sensor the 6000 had. And this has a larger pixel still for being 42 megapixel even, but because it's covering that 64 or that 35 millimeter surface area of the sensor, the pixels are physically larger, so it has a better low light performance than the 6000 series did. And that's noticeable in your images when you're taking the two images together. The A7R5, when you go into APS-C mode on that camera, it goes to 26 megapixels. So that one has a tighter pixel density. But of course, we're dealing with a much newer technology in the sensor. It still, I think, makes it better than the 6000 series for low light capabilities. Where this one, when you go into APS-C mode, it is shooting 18 megapixels and not 24. Do you know what a good picture profile to record the A6400? I heard some profiles give you trouble while shooting. Yes, they do give you trouble in autofocus. If you're shooting log, like S-Log2, I never shot S-Log3. I didn't see a benefit on the 8-bit video codecs for S-Log3. It just seemed cumbersome. It didn't seem like it's a much flatter profile. if you were doing a locked off shot with it on a tripod and you had the time for the camera just to be steady, it may work okay for S-Log3, and you get the exposure right. And the exposure is key on log footage. If you don't have your exposure right, it's very hard to recover. But I did use S-Log2 a lot on that camera, and I got good results with it. Hybrid log, I actually really enjoyed using because it gives you a much more of a natural profile with it. But the the hybrid log footage doesn't play back right on most monitors. You have to play it back in like something like DaVinci Resolve or Premiere, where it'll see and process it right. Because if you go and just plug it into your Windows machine, or even, well, I shouldn't say, I don't know on the Mac because I didn't have it for the Mac, but if I just plugged it into my Windows and opened it in the player, it seemed all yellowed and washed out, looked really weird, like, oh my God, I destroyed my footage. But then you put it in DaVinci Resolve and it plays back perfectly and it looks really good. As far as I never dove into exact dynamic ranges, which was better, S-Log2 or hybrid log, but I did enjoy hybrid log. There's another one for low light. I learned don't use S-Log2, especially on the 6000 series, for low light situations. And I think if you've followed or you know of Make Art Now, Josh Yo's channel, if you go over and check his channel out in the history of it, he's got an A7 III low light video test, and he breaks down the details of each picture profile much more. And Picture Profile 2 from Sony, from the Sony stock Picture Profile 2, did the best in noise reduction for low light. And then he fine-tuned it and tweaked it to his liking just a bit better and got pretty good results. But he's got a great video describing that picture profile thing, because I was making the mistake of using S-Log2 for low light situations, and that is not what you want to be doing, because, and I'm going to go off what I learned from Josh Yo's channel. Our monitors can only see about 6 stops of light in any television monitor, broadcast, whatever. And that S-Log2 is making a shooting a flat profile to get, say, about 11, 12 stops of dynamic range, and then we're recompressing it down to spread it out in a flat profile to get our 6 stops viewable out of the 11 or 12 stops it had. And that's what makes a nice HDR looking image, where you can see into the shadow detail, you can still see the bright highlights all in the same image exposure. But with low light, you don't necessarily need 12 stops of dynamic range. You only need the 6. So the the other picture profiles, you get a better noise performance in the shadows with the other picture profiles. All right. Any autofocus problems for S-Log2 or hybrid? Yes, S-Log2, I noticed huge autofocus problems with that codec. Hybrid log, I don't think so. And I think it's because of the contrast. Was it the contrasting? Well, what's it called now? There's phase detect autofocus, and then there's the contrast. And I think when you're in log, that flatter picture profile, you don't have as much contrast, and the focusing hunted, and it had a tougher time finding focus to lock onto. So definitely would be checking into having problems with you will have problems with the S-Log2 footage in autofocus. I did experience that. He says you got a Mac. Which Mac are you running? Is it an older, or you got one of the new M chips? I know early on I had bought just I think it was a tablet PC. I thought, oh, this is cool. I can edit on it, with a tablet. And the PC was so underpowered, and Lightroom just destroyed it. And I'd sit there for 30 minutes exporting one of my photos from the A7R2, and it was just painful. And then I finally upgraded and bought it was a new open box Alienware at Best Buy that had a PC Alienware that could handle 4K footage, and it just like the sliders were active, like making adjustments. I didn't have to slide it and wait 2 minutes for it to render the adjustment on that old PC I had. So it was everything was live in action. I was like, oh, this is actually easy to edit now. I can actually get things done. And then I was always a PC guy up until I saw these M chips, and I thought that's the way of the future right there. And this is a MacBook Pro 14 with the M1. Incredible. That's all I can say is it handles everything effortlessly. And it is a great computer if you can get the opportunity even to pick up one of those what are they, the Mac Minis with the M1. I got my kids the M1 MacBook Air, and it handles everything I needed to do. I haven't ran any FX30 footage through it, like any of the 10-bit like heavy codecs, but it handles everything flawlessly. And in a 30-minute render or 30-minute video, putting it through a render test on it, this MacBook Pro 14 M1 chip or M1 Pro chip, the base model Mac M14 is what I own here, only did it about, was it 10 seconds faster than the MacBook Air. So the MacBook Air handled everything I ever needed perfectly. Now, I have no reason to suspect that it wouldn't handle all the footage out of the FX30, because I can layer 4K clips on this and scrub it cleanly. And it can scrub all 4 of the 4K video clips perfectly smooth. Works fantastically well. And the higher end codecs, even though they are higher bit rate, higher data flow, the computer can process those higher codecs easier, and they're actually easier to edit with. The problem is you're dealing with a massive file size to do that. So that's why they start using proxies. And I've never done that. I've never tried to do it or make proxies to edit off of, because you get a better workflow. Well, this MacBook Pro 14 just crushes everything I give it without even skipping a beat. Oh, but it did do something one day. What was it? I put something on it that it just destroyed it. It was like it did not like. Oh, it's going to kill me now. I can't think of what it was. But it was a very taxing setup I had on it. But it wasn't something regular from the cameras. I'm trying to think of what it was. Let's see here. Yeah, I notice sometimes in my video footage, I see a pink flare sometimes. What might the problem be? What is the flare look like? Is it just a lens flare where you'll get, let's see if I can do it on my screen here. Shit. Like a spot of light here, and then here and here, like following the different lens elements. Like if you get a lens flare in your glass of the element from the front of the lens, you see that kind of, there's like 3 layers of pink. Get it just right there. You can see those 3 like crescents layered over it. That would be possibly a lens flare coming into the lens. The sensor is going to record, and they can be artistic and awesome looking depending what you're doing with the shot. But that could be what you're seeing, is that lens flare. And that's one of the reasons why cameras have these hoods and what they call the tulips, is it'll hide that light in your angle to where you won't generate that flare as much. But that could be what you're seeing. I don't know what else it might be. If in your footage you're seeing a pink flare, that would be the only thing I can think. Sorry, I'm hearing stuff outside the office here. Yeah, I mean, in video footage, you're not seeing it in photos maybe as much. I can't think of anything else it may be other than some sort of lens flare. Yeah, just play with it with like the sunlight. Um, One cool effect with video footage is like if you're under a tree, um, with the sun overhead through the tree, you can move your camera, do a pans real slow with it, and you can create a parallax. But catching the sun coming through the leaves creates a little like starburst, or it'll cause a flaring in your lens that can be look really cool when you're panning your camera back and forth through the tree leaves, especially on a telephoto. So if you're running they said you had the 18105. I don't know if you still do, but even that 56 millimeter Sigma should give you that bit of a telephone reach to create a cool little parallax effect where you're moving the background opposite of the camera motion from your subject, and yeah, that's a good way to catch a little flare. If not, it's just angling the sun at different angles through your lens. You can find it. So yeah, just play with it. Those are good ways. If you're just joining, press that like button, helps a lot. And if you want to join in on the live stream and get live on the discussion, the link is at the top of the chat. Let me see if I can stick it here. See if that sticks it like the way it needs to. Yeah, join the live panel if you'd like. I'll follow the link and see how this works when somebody comes and joins. Love to see how it works. So what are your thoughts on lens filters? Do you use any? I use the variable ND filters for video. Got to have those if you're going to want nice, clean depth of field bokeh look in your video, because you're trying to let in so much light, more so than normal than photography. So I do use those. As far as any other filters, I do have a polarizer filter, and they have a specific purpose for shooting around water or through windows or glass. You'd want to put a polarizer on. I'm trying to think if I have access to those real quick. We'll pull them out. Let's see what we got here. We got a couple variable V and Ds. Yeah, here's my polarizer filter. What we got here. So I run these Polar Pros. This is a 77 millimeter polarizer filter, and when you turn it, I don't know if we're going to get an effect here in camera or not with this. What's a good spot? No, not going to see much difference in here, but what it does is if you're shooting a video or even a photograph of, like, say, a lake, and depending how the sunlight is reflecting off the water back to the camera lens, it creates a white sheen across your nice water. So if you got really clean, clear water and you want to be able to see through the water in your photograph, you'd run a polarizer filter like this one to block the sunlight's reflection, and it cuts that reflection out. It's like kind of like a little mini sunglasses basically, but it has that effect. Now, and also have the effect when you're shooting at the sky, it'll actually darken and like increase your contrast of the image more with something like this. So I do use a polarizer. These variable NDs, these are the Polar Pro Peter McKinnon edition, the Mark 1s. Variable ND filters. So this one is the 2 to 5 stop. It's got this gold tinge on the front of this one, and it's just dark tint on the outside. But this is an adjustable ring. So right now it's set to 2 stops of light reduction, and this is going to be more like a sunglasses for your camera, because as I crank it up to 2, this is 5 stops, so you can see how much light it's cutting out in the background compared to 2 stops. So you need something like this when you're shooting video. And if you're following the 180 rule of the shutter speed, or a shutter speed of 180 degrees, basically what that means is the shutter's open half the time the frame's open. So if yeah, I think that's right. Did I say that right? If you're shooting 24 frames a second, then you would need a shutter of 1/50th of a second to get natural motion blur of objects that are moving. The problem is that's letting in a lot of light to the sensor, and you can overexpose your image, especially if you want to shoot something like a 2.8 or a 1.4. Then you're going to need a variable ND filter that you can adjust that light in. But this is just like a pair of sunglasses for your camera. But yes, outside, you would use this outside. And then there's a 6 to 9 stop that brings it down even further. I've got videos on my channel talking about how to set up these and how to calculate what you need on my channel if you look back on it. But this is the 6 to 9. So this is 6 stops of light reduction. And then let's take it to 9 stops. You can see it gets pretty dark. Back to 6 stops. Now this filter is great on this one has a blue tinge on the outside here. You can kind of see that blue purplish tinge, and this one is blue on the inside, I think. Yeah, you get that bluish purple. It's much darker, and you would use this so you can shoot a lens. What I do, I'll just do it right now. I do also have UV filters on the front of my lenses. They're strictly there just for protection. I want to keep the lenses protected, and I've already got a nick in my 85 lens because I left it open without it, and can't see it. There's a small little nick right about there. It looks like a little rock chip in a windshield, and it sucks. But it doesn't affect the image quality one bit. I can't even see it in the image. So it's just one of those things you might see in a bokeh ball. Maybe you may be able to see it if you looked right at it the right way. But if you're shooting 1.4, you need to put this guy on the front of your lens, and that lets you shoot 1.4 wide open, middle of the day, full sun bearing down, and you don't have to overcrank your shutter to get your exposure right. You can keep it at 150 so you get natural motion blur in your image and get the shallow depth of field. So look up that video I have. I want to say it's like how to calculate or which PMV ND is right for you. I have 2 good videos out there on it that tell you how to use your camera to figure out how many stops you need to get a good exposure, basically. And very, very useful. Definitely find some of these. You can pick up these variable NDs. They make a 2 to 8 stop. You can find, I think, for anywhere from $50 to $80, and you can get them in various sizes for your lens filter. Now, I always recommend you go bigger or to the biggest size filter you have, and then you buy the step rings that step them down to screw onto different camera lenses. So that way you're not having to buy multiple filters for all your lenses. You can just have one. Now, I chose the 77 millimeters instead of the 82 millimeters because the 85 is 77, the 100-400 was 77, the 24-105 is 77, and then I had everything else was below it. And the only ones that are shooting 82 was the G Master 20, well, not just G Master lenses, but the 24-70 GM and the 16 to 35, which I didn't own. And although I wanted to plan to get those, I just didn't want to invest the money and have to step down on my 3 native lenses that just took the filter directly. So that was my decision on that. And I still don't own those lenses. So it's been about 2 or 3 years since I bought these, and they're still working great. So that's those. Definitely worth checking those out and getting something for your lens. And like I said, UV filters, they're not necessary with modern cameras anymore. A lot of old cameras, in fact, just about every film camera I've bought at an antique store, which I have like 3 or 4 of them now because I'm buying the lenses more than the camera, they all have some sort of UV filter in there, and you needed it for the film more than anything. And I don't know the technical reasons why, but they say you needed them for some aspect of the image. Like I said, I'm not sure what it was, but nowadays people that run them, they're just running them as a shield for the lens, because they're almost completely clear and they have good glass quality. And in fact, I don't skimp on them either, because at the end of the day, all your images are coming through this filter also. So these are Hoya NXTs. I want to say I paid about 80, 90 bucks for this filter, and I have two of them. I have one on my 24-105 and the 85 here. And the day the 85 got damaged, it wasn't on it, and I found it when I opened my camera bag back up, and the lens cap wasn't on the lens, and that's when I found the chip. And why I slipped and didn't put the covers back on, I don't know, but I didn't have the filter on because I took it off for some sort of shoot, because I do pull them off to gain that little bit of extra image quality and not put anything in front of my high quality glass. So okay, you've been talking, I've been talking. Let's see here. I feel like the ND filter would be useful for my cuz. I like to shoot. Yeah, we talked about that. That's probably causes my pink lens flare. They do help with lens flaring and blocking some of that sunlight out, especially wide open, because you're seeing all the light through that front element. So definitely probably check those out. I'll probably get a UV filter just to protection, because lenses are expensive. Yes, definitely pick up a good quality one, because you want to leave it on all the time. I want to say there's a light transmission rating on all of them, and make sure it's a nice high, like 95, 96% light transmission, because I think this does block some of your lights and create not a full stop of light, but it does create a blockage of light, creating so your 1.4 light wouldn't be full light that you could potentially get without it. I think it's less than 5%, but it's still one of those things you got to consider also with it. How often do you clean your lenses and sensor? Okay, so I usually wipe down all my lenses before any major shoot, or before any paid job. I always wipe everything down. I clean my sensors when I need to. If there's some dirt on them, or if the event I was at was extremely dusty, and I never took this off the camera, but the lens was covered in dust. The camera body's covered in dust. The FX30 is still dusty. I haven't cleaned them yet. I did run a lens cleaner on a wet lens cleaner on the front lens element on those. The sensor's pretty clean. I've got a couple little specks in it. I could probably try with a rocket blow, or something to get it off. Don't be afraid to clean your sensors. They're incredibly durable. It takes a lot to damage them, but that being said, they're still the sensor. You don't want to just be touching it all the time. But I just buy those Amazon from, I have it here. Let's see. Got my toolboxes here. Let's see. Yeah, Altura. This is my camera cleaning kit. I keep lens cleaner swabs. You get the little rocket blower. You can blow right directly on the sensor. Don't blow with your mouth, although I've done that in the field just to get something off of it. These little pen brushes work really good at just dabbing at something to try to get it off the sensor if you need to, or the lens. And then these lens swabs. These lens swabs are real easy to use. This is a full frame one, so the width is meant to go across the full frame sensor one time. In fact, I'll show you how easy it is. I'll do it right now to the A7R2. And I'm not really generally afraid of keeping it out too much. Like I'm pretty quick with my lens changes, and I always prioritize the camera over the lenses to get it sealed back up in the field. But it's real easy to clean, and we'll do it real quick. So you buy one of these kits. This is they're sealed one-time use lens swabs. Is what this guy is. It says it's a full frame, 24 millimeter. Oh, the camera's not going to focus. It's too good at focusing on your face. But it's a full frame, 24 millimeter. They make the APS-C version, which is smaller. And let's go ahead and swab this camera. You get this little cleanser, and we're gonna saturate this with the cleanser. So we're gonna open this up and pull out our sensor swab. Okay, just a little piece of cloth on a stick there, and we're just gonna go ahead and spray this. Now that it's saturated and wet a little bit, we're gonna take our camera sensor. Make sure you can see where we're doing this at. And we're going to go This is my method. Everybody's going to have their own way of doing it, but we're going to go one swab straight across like that. And then I come back on the opposite side, one straight sweep straight across. You're done. Sensor has been cleaned. I had a speck on there. It is now gone. So at that point, you just seal it back up with the camera lens or the body cap, and my sensor's been cleaned. That's as simple as that, how easy it is to clean the sensors. I haven't damaged it. I've never seen any damage or anything from it. There was a gentleman out on YouTube. It's the APS-C channel. I can't remember his name. Boy, that's going to bother me too. I don't know what his name is now. But I've followed him for a number of years. He bought an old like Sony full frame camera off eBay that didn't work and did a durability test on the sensor. You would be surprised what he had to do to it to get it to actually damage or scar or damage the sensor. So A7R2 sensor's clean. That's as simple as that. I don't do it every time or every day. I don't do nothing like that. In fact, that's probably maybe the 7th or 8th time I've cleaned that sensor in the 6 years I've owned the camera. And that's not really any reason why I'm doing it that way. It's just I generally will keep it clean with the little rocket blower or just get the little dust off of it. But every now and then it's a good idea to give it a swab, a little wet cleaning, and it dries out really quick and you're done. So pretty simple. The little blower works really, really good. And the tip on this is make sure that you hold the cameras down when you're cleaning on it. I always hold my camera down also when I'm changing lenses. Holding the camera down doesn't let the dust that's falling through the air to land on top of it. And with this guy, you would just blow into the sensor area. Try not to touch the sensor, although I don't think you'd damage it if you did. It's just one of those things. It is a fragile thing. But watch that video. It's pretty sensor durability test. That's how easy it is, and they are durable. But yeah, that's how I clean the sensor. You buy those kits. I want to say they're $20 or $30 for the kit online. I think you can buy this full kit for APS-C or full frame, and it comes with the swabs. Comes with some lens cloths. They work really good and good to just have. But sensor cleaning is very easy, and if you do get something on it, don't worry about sending it to the camera shop or doing anything like that. You can do it 2 swipes and you're done. Now, if you got a scrub on it, be cautious with it. Just take your time. Like I said, watch some of those sensor durability test videos out there, and you'll see just how much abuse it can actually take before you damage one. I'd be more worried about damaging the IBIS because when you wipe this sensor, the 6400 solid doesn't have IBIS, so it'll be rock solid inside there. But this one, it wiggles. When you swipe it, you can feel it drag the whole sensor cradle over because it's wiggling around for the IBIS because it's off. But that's how easy it is to do that. What about a spec that's hard to get? Do you think a pressure water hose would work? I wouldn't put water in the sensor because that's the exposed area of the camera circuitry. As far as the wet swab, I think you could safely take it and just work it off of the sensor. Now, because of their environment and that they're pretty well sealed up and they're not exposed to anything serious, to get a dust speck on it, it would have to fall in while lens changes happen. They're not usually stuck on. They usually come right off. Now, if you used your finger to touch it and wipe the sensor, you put oil on your sensor like that, you definitely would want to wet swab it for that reason. But I have used water picks like for your teeth to clean, crevices and stuff around other components. I've never done it to a camera or anything like that. For the most part, they're working tools for me. I don't polish them out. There's dust all over this thing from being out in the elements the last time I shot it. And, I've got my wear and tear marks on it, and I kind of enjoy it, honestly, but also the R2 is a different camera for me because it's the first new camera I bought. Everything else I bought, I bought a 6000 new, but because it was such an expensive camera, I actually bought it new and haven't ever looked back from it. I haven't wanted to upgrade it. It works really, really well. And yeah, the new ones are great, but yeah. Oh, yeah, I'd hope so. I wouldn't take a pressure washer into the camera. No, it wouldn't be a good idea. They are really durable. And that was one of the things Sony was like bashed on, was their cameras are not durable. Like compared to a Canon or Nikon. Well, if you pick up a Canon or Nikon, they're heavier. They definitely feel like they're built very well, and I can think they can take a lot more banging abuse. But these ones, I've I don't baby it, but I take care of it. So um, it's held up so far for me. I haven't had any problems. I do have a current problem with this Vallejo battery grip, is that I can't get it off. The threaded bit on here will not unscrew, and I've put some force on the teeth to try to get it. It clicks and moves around, and I don't know. I'm hoping it's this knob is broken inside the Vallejo, and not the knob, not the screw hole in the body of the camera. So eventually, I'm going to take a drill and drill out this housing from both sides of this knob and open it up and see if I can figure out what's causing this problem, because this sucks not being able to get this battery grip off. And I've been messing with it and haven't been back to it, but definitely been one of those things. So buying used cameras is a good idea. I have no problems with buying used cameras, used equipment. If it looks clean and it works in your hand, you're probably fine. I've bought several. I did a lot of buying and selling of cameras. I'd buy them really cheap when somebody didn't know what they had, or on Facebook Marketplace, if I see a Sony camera pop up that's a really good deal and I have the cash on hand to go buy it, I'll go pick it up and either use it for a while, keep it, or just flip it. And I do that in order to upgrade and buy new gear. So that's one of my methods, because I'm not a working photographer. I don't do a whole lot. I got a side business for it that I do run money. When I have a job, the business earns that money and keeps stuff such as this channel afloat and stuff like that, so I can do that. But the used cameras I have never a problem with. The ones off like B&H, you pay more for them, but they're still a good value. I've bought several things. Me and my buddies have bought several cameras off of there, and they're all have been just, even a condition 8+. It's like opening a brand new camera in the box if it comes with a box. So no quarrels with buying a used camera. If you're buying it off Facebook, kind of judge the person you're talking with, how much do they know about it. Try to go in knowing more than they do. Hopefully that will tell you kind of their knowledge base of the camera. If they know a lot about it, then they probably professionally used it and has more time on it. It's unlikely you'll be able to get a shutter count off of it. But if you do have the opportunity to take a picture with it and think about it, go back and run the picture through like a picture information extractor or a program that shows you shutter counts. And that'll tell you how much time and use they've put on the camera as far as photography goes. Now, I've been wanting to try that on the FX30 because it doesn't have a mechanical shutter, and if it actually keeps track of pictures. I don't think I've shot a single photograph with the FX30 since I bought it. And that was a camera that I did buy new also, was the FX30. So, but I only bought it because it was like, oh, this is the camera I want. And that's why I jumped on it when it came out. All right. Tigran, I don't know if I got that right, but welcome to the show, man. Should I pick a Sony A7R II for $800 in decent shape with an original box and neck strap, lens only? $800, yeah, that's a good deal with the lens. With all day long, that's a good deal for that camera. If it hasn't been professionally shot and somebody just bought it and they used it on vacation, or they just bought it thinking they'd use it and then they didn't, because a lot of people bought cameras 5-6 years ago when these things were out, and that's when camera phones got really, really good. So a lot of people just started going back to their camera phones and not dealing with a professional camera. So definitely worth picking that one up for $800. with the, especially with the box, the neck strap, and I'm guessing the kit lens, the 28 to 70 kit lens. That was a good, solid little lens that they came with. $800 all day long, man. Get it. And you say body only, it's still worth 800. The lens is a bonus if they get it, but if it's just body only, then definitely pick it up for 800. Because I want to say their fair market on them is around 1,000 right now in any condition or like general use condition. So you definitely be worth it to get it. I still like it. Now I do want to ask the question to you, what is your primary use for it? Because I may sway you a different way depending on what your use is for it. Yeah, do the basics. I'm sorry, I didn't follow you, Trixie, on that one. What are your basics? What are some lenses you would recommend? Again, what are you shooting with it? That would be my question. What are you doing with it? Are you doing video? Are you doing video or photos? And if you're doing photos, what kind of photography are you doing? Before I answer what kind of lenses I'd recommend. Kind of scary how good phone cameras are getting. Yeah, this is an iPhone 13 Pro, and I'm blown away by it. And I did a comparison video a while back. It's not one of my very popular videos, but it was something I did on the road on a road trip between the ZV-1 and the iPhone. And the ZV-1 still holds an edge in quality, but convenience and how good it actually looks for just online social media all day long. Definitely is worth it. Okay, photography and shooting videos. Let's get a little bit more detail to that. I would love to use it for short films and occasionally shoot headshot photography with it. Okay, so headshot photography, A7R2 is a great camera for it. I will struggle in the autofocus department compared to some of the newer cameras. The A7 III is dropped so much in value after the A7 IV launch. It's still a current body with Sony's lineup, but you can find them used for $1,000 to $1,200 for just the body. And you're getting a lot more modern features in that A7 III body, such as the Z battery is a big one. The battery life is extremely better than these W batteries in the A7R2 or the Mark II bodies. I will say that. As far as feature wise, I still picked up my A7R2 for photography over the A7 III. The A7 III I bought as a video camera before I bought the FX30, and the A7 III was clunky. It was like noisier. It's not as good as image sensor, and the shutter's not as good. Where the A7R2 just the feel and the performance of the camera was just much better in your hands as a photography camera. So short films also, the camera is a video camera second, but it's a great video camera and it works really well. And I'm still to this day blown away some of the image quality I get out of this camera. A tip about the A7R2 that you may not have heard: it has 2 video record modes, full frame or APS-C Super 35. In full frame, it's shooting a 4K image. That's what they call pixel binning, because it's got more pixels than it needs. It throws away a lot of the pixel data through the full frame image to shrink down and make a 4K image. However, if you shoot it in a Super 35 mode, which is putting the camera into APS-C mode, so a 50 millimeter lens becomes a 75 millimeter lens, you get a 5K sampled image downscaled to 4K. So you get a sharper image in Super 35 with this camera than you do with it just in full frame. Now, end result is going to depend on what your end platform viewability is. If it's going on Facebook or Instagram for a short video or something like that, or YouTube, you're talking 1080p footage usually on most phones. You're not going to see the difference of that video quality, but it does shoot a sharper image and the Super 35. If you can find an A7 III for $1,000, I've seen them out there, and they're probably well used. should you sell the 6400 with the 2 lenses and get a full frame lens and camera A7 III? That's a tough question to answer right now. I did it, so I sold my A6400 and got an A7 III. And for video quality and video reasons alone, it was worth it, especially for low light. 12800 on the A7 III on a 1.4 lens was amazing compared to the 6400. But I don't know if I don't know if it'd be a smart move, honestly. It's the 2 lenses you've got are good lenses, and think about the versatility of what lens you'd be able to get with the A7 III. While the cameras have come down quite a bit in price, and if Sony drops the value by lowering the price of the A7 IV eventually, which could be coming, then the A7 III is going to drop in value unless they discontinue it, in which case it goes to a used only market, which will maintain the value will be held at a roughly a certain point. So that's what's happened with the A7R2. The A7R2's $800 to $1,200 is where you see that camera. And I don't think it'll ever change. I think it'll always be an $800 to $1,200 used camera, unless you find a new copy somewhere. You might be able to pay, $1,500 to $1,800 for it if it's new in the box. But the A7 III is a great video camera. It's a great photography camera. The focusing system is great in it, but the A6400 has better features. So really it's going to come down to really study the features and the benefits of making that move. I would say keep the 6400 for right now and invest in a full frame lens or something of that nature before you move into a full frame camera and get rid of 2 lenses. That would be my recommendation right now. Yeah, they were 1,500, and I sold mine at a value of about 1,200, and that was the going rate on them when I sold mine. So I sold the A7 III, and I sold with the 35 millimeter Zeiss 1.4 lens for only $1,600. That lens went for $400, and the camera went for $1,200. And those are the going used open market rates on those cameras and lens. So there's definitely deals to be had on the A7 III right now. Would you say an overall 15mm would be a great start? It's a great starting point for price and what you get for the lens. And the Sony 50-1.8, the little short nifty 50 you call it, is a phenomenal lens. In fact, let me jump up here. I'm going to walk in front of the camera for a second. I'll show you something. I'll hop over my streaming cord. So this is a print that I got made. This is with the A7R2 and the 50-1.8 nifty 50 lens. This photograph was taken out of the Reunion Tower in Dallas, looking at the Dallas skyline at night, and it has an iridescent reflection on the highlights of this image. So the whole image is shiny, essentially the way it's printed. And you can see that because of where I'm facing it, I'm facing east at sunset. The buildings are reflecting the sunset that's happening behind me in the sky. And that's kind of a cool image. But this was shot with that 50-1.8. It's a great little lens for what was it? $250 new, I think. And I think used, you can find them for $150 to $200 all day long. So definitely worth picking up. Downside to that lens, it has bad chromatic aberration. It's really not much more you can do with it other than in post work it out. And it's a noisy autofocus in video, and the autofocus in low light is fairly poor. But again, it's a $200 lens, and you can't go wrong with it. The A7 III would be a huge upgrade to the 6400 in terms of image quality. With it being a full frame sensor, you would love it. I think you'll see a downgrade from the 6400's performance and autofocusing in photographs. Now, like I said, in my case, I still prefer the A7R2 in my photo categories, but I wanted the video features of the full frame that the benefits of full frame in the video, and that was where it was worth it for me. Thank you. Yeah, that was a fun one to get made and have blown up. Thanks. I appreciate the subs. Hit that like also, but it helps tremendously when you guys hit that like button for me. And I'll be going live. I think I'm going to start doing it Monday nights at 9 p.m. Central with this live stream platform where we will be able to go in and have people on. And if you want to join in and to join the discussion, ask questions, bring it in. You can be live on here with me, and we'll have a panel going. So that's what this platform is doing right now. The link is I think it's pinned on the description. No, if you go to the top of the comment channel, maybe I'll copy it again. I'll figure out how to put that link in there. Let's see. I'd like to join just 3 a.m. over here right now. Where are you at? At 3 a.m. That's well, hell, where am I at? We're at 2 o'clock. You're East Coast then. Yeah, I need to go to bed probably. I got to wake up early. We got to drive in the morning. Got an hour drive tomorrow morning to go visit some family. Yeah, this will be East Coast, Connecticut. Cool. Yeah, I'm in West Texas is where I'm at right now. Not necessarily my home, but it's where I live right now and what I call home. So, yeah, I appreciate you guys all stopping in. I'm going to probably call it a night too. It is getting late, and I've got to still upload this other video for tomorrow morning. So there will be a new video coming out here soon, and I'll see you there. Great stream. Great talk, though. Oh, I appreciate it, bud. I appreciate you hopping in and getting involved. It's a lot of fun having somebody to interact with. I love connecting with everybody here, and gives us a little bit more one-on-one time. Answer questions. What do you need help with? Hit me up in the comments, or anytime you can shoot me emails with anything else, questions. I do my best to get back to everybody I can. So yeah, it's good talking. So take care, have a good night, and I'll see you later. Thanks for watching too. So let's see here. So if I stop. Okay, so I can end broadcast with the live channel. All right, good night, everybody. Have a good night.